Here's what's coming up next on Holy Smoke Cigars and Spirituality.
First of all, let's say everything does not deserve your 100%. Everything does not deserve your 100%.
Pause.
It doesn't even necessarily deserve your 90, your 80, your 70, your 60. And honestly, if you're an overachiever, there are a lot of things that you could do at 50% and you still be better than everybody else.
Ooh.
Right? You could literally half-ass it and you would still be better than most of the people around you. We are doing way too much. We are
Jesus Christ.
over-functioning.
Oh my God.
Because the thing is, they know, right? The systems we're embedded in, they know they can count on us. They know we're going to step up and do the work when other people won't do the work, right? They know it. So, I mean, this is like classic family systems. If somebody is over-functioning, somebody is under-functioning. And our perfectionism allows a lot of people to under-function.
Damn.
The other thing, when you feel yourself being overwhelmed, I say this in an academic sense with my students, but it really can be in any part of life. When you are in a place, in a season where you have too much going on, pick something and aim for a C. Aim to fail in some way, right? Because for perfectionists, a C is failure. So
Right. Aim for a C. What do you mean? That is beneath me.
Right.
For a
But
C.
here's the thing. You choose the thing.
Yes.
Because if you don't choose it, your body will choose it for you.
Y'all better go to this lecture. Y'all better look. I'm gonna put the
Jesus
QR code on the
Christ.
screen. Y'all better go to this lecture. Everything does
What?
not deserve your 100%. That was one of my favorite people, Dr. Chanequa Walker-Barnes. In case you didn't know, that was my professor in seminary when I went to school. And she is our special guest today for the Theology of Perfectionism. And this episode is actually sponsored by Eden Theological Seminary, who will be hosting Dr. Chanequa Walker-Barnes at their bracke-public-lecture on November 11th, 2025 in St. Louis and online. That's November 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you want to check out Dr. C's lecture at Eden Theological Seminary, click the link in the show notes. You can register for free and you can attend from anywhere in the world because it's happening online. Eden Theological Seminary is a progressive space where you can get your theological education. Like I told our community, I'm not going to just put a seminary in front of you just because. I'm going to make sure that they actually teaching something that's going to be helpful to you. So if you want to check out Eden Theological Seminary, the link to check them out is in the show notes. All right, well, I'm not going to waste any more time. You know what to do. Pull up a chair, light a stick if you want, and pour a dram if you please, as we deconstruct harmful theology and build beloved community one cigar at a time. Let's get to it. You know what? We might as well just go ahead and clock in right there. We're back. Holy Smoke Cigars and Spirituality. We are deconstructing harmful theology, building beloved community one cigar at a time. Unfortunately, it's the fall and I got fall allergies, so I haven't really been smoking cigars because my God. But you know what? I will say this. I'm doing better with my fall allergies this year than I have in the past couple of years. The past couple of years, I've been dealing with shortness of breath. This year, it's like a bunch of sinus drainage and a cough. I'd much rather deal with that than deal with having shortness of breath. But you know, ain't nobody smoking cigars today, but it's still Holy Smoke Cigars and Spirituality. And I am excited because I have one of my favorite people in the world here. Her name is Dr. Chanequa Walker-Barnes. Can we give her a hand, please? Yes, I sat at this woman's feet and learned theology for a few years at McAfee School of Theology. Now she's at Columbia Theological Seminary. But I have always admired her. We gave her some flowers in part one of this recording. So if you want to go hear all of that mushy stuff about how much I love her, you can. You can subscribe to the Patreon and you can get all of that good stuff. Dr. C, if you just, greet people and say, hey.
Hey, glad to be here today. The faith community has always had a special place in my heart. And my son back at the time when we were going to churches, and he would always say y'all were his favorite. I think it was because y'all had juice and potato chips.
That makes sense. At that age, that makes perfect sense.
He
Yes.
was like, that's my favorite.
Yes. Listen, I grew up the fat kid. I know what the kids like. Give them some juice and some chips, some candy, crackers.
Yeah,
That's it.
he's good.
Yeah, that's it. I really appreciate you being here. We're gonna get into this conversation about the theology of perfectionism. Y'all buckle up, because I don't know if we realize how much we're impacted by it, and it's really special to have Dr. C here, because of course this is also a lead up to a lecture that she's doing at Eden Theological Seminary on November 11th. So if you want to register, you can attend that virtually. You don't have to be in St. Louis at Eden Theological Seminary in person to experience her lecture, but you can register and attend online. The link to register is in the show notes. But the reason I am excited is because Dr. C is a theologian and a psychologist. So, Pamela and I, we do therapy and theology. I'm bringing you the theological perspective, and Pamela's bringing you the therapeutic perspective. Dr. C is the walking embodiment of
And
therapy and
baby,
theology.
and let me tell you, I sit at the feet. And I've been doing therapy a long time. But when it comes to Dr. C, I am a student.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about what I know, baby. I'm a student. That's the
yeah.
respect that I have. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
mad respect, mad respect. So we're gonna get into this conversation in a moment with some introductions. But first, we gotta give you the one rule. And Rich Auntie is in the building. She lighting her incense right now. What kind of incense is that?
This is Hi John, the Conqueror.
You listen, if you ain't gonna burn nothing else, you gonna burn some high John.
Baby, she gonna burn some high John, okay?
Listen, Hi John is
Yeah.
my staple,
High John the Conqueror.
power and protection. But let's focus on the matter at hand. That is the introduction of the one rule. The one rule is our North Star, that is coined by our illustrious Bishop TikTok. And it says we honor each other's lived experiences. What that means, we don't uplift theories over what people have actually lived in real life. So we love to kiki, we love to argue respectfully. Healthy debates are welcome, but you must be kind. Kindness is key. And that is, like I said, our North Star. And that comes from a little bit of Bible, but I always love to throw in, it comes from so many different faith and spiritual paths and traditions. And it says that your love for God is displayed in how you love your neighbor. That's an extension of how you love yourself. Therefore, you cannot fully love God if you don't love your neighbor. And you definitely cannot fully love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. So that's in Matthew 22:34-40. If you feel like you need a little scripture sprinkle on it, but it is the way that we interact with each other. So, the lovely key phrase is, remember the one rule or your ass will get dragged in all the names, okay?
Listen.
Every name that we can, and a lot of healthy cursing, profanity, F words.
Especially when Lord Thurston is here. We
Yes,
gotta
Lord Thurston.
And if you're wondering why you
My
haven't heard,
God.
if you're wondering why you haven't heard from him in a while, he's been on sabbatical, but he'll be back. He'll be back.
She's
Um,
traveling the world.
yes, 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 yes. So yeah, that's the one rule. Thank you, Rich Auntie. We appreciate you for that. All right, so introductions. Let's get into it. We're talking about the theology of perfectionism. And you know what? Before we even do that, Dr. C, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you could, how would you explain perfectionism? How would you help somebody understand what it is?
Oh, that's a good question. All right. So off the cuff. So I will say I didn't prepare because I was fighting my own perfectionist tendency. So I was like, you sent me to the run of show, and I was like, I'm not going to prepare.
I feel you.
So perfectionism is this, I think at its core, is this belief that we have to be perfect, that we are not allowed to make mistakes, that we are not allowed to show any type of weakness in any way, in anything that we do, right? Everything, it is holding this exceptionally high standard. Sometimes it's related to only particular parts of our lives, but it's usually kind of widespread, right? Where we feel like we have to always meet this extraordinarily high standard. And if we can't meet that high standard, then we're a failure. Like going back to that kind of binary thinking we were talking about is I either do it at 100% level or either I'm worthless. So like with perfectionism, we're tying up our self-worth into this idea of, is it perfect all the time? Am I perfect all the time? Yeah.
Yeah, that piece about that you added about like self-worth, I was tied to self-worth. It's not like just, oh, I messed this up. It's I'm messed up.
I'm messed up, right?
Yeah, like something's wrong with me.
Right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's what we're dealing with. Can you identify with that? Those who are, have you ever felt like that? I know that I have. And today, by way of introduction, that's what we're going to talk about. Like, I want to know what, for all of us, what has been your experience with perfectionism? Like, how has that shown up in your life? If you're willing to share, because I know that can be a vulnerable thing. And I'll start. I'm Christian. I'm the host. I'm the heretic. And we always share what we smoking and drinking this week. I'm not smoking anything, like I said. Fall allergies got me messed up, so I'm not doing it. I am having a mixture of bourbon and Grand Marnier tonight. I don't know if that's a thing or if I just made it up. Somebody can tell me. I know if I had cognac and Grand Marnier, that would be a French connection, but it's bourbon and Grand Marnier, so that's different. My experience with perfectionism, one of the examples that comes up for me is how I was conditioned to understand my fitness. I played football in high school and college, and I was highly active all the way up until I injured my knee in 2020. So I was conditioned playing football to think that fitness had to happen at a very high level. And anything less than super intense, you wasn't really working out. And a great example is you couldn't walk on the football field. Like if I was walking, my coach would be in my ass. Don't you be walking on my field. You get over here. I'm gonna send your ass back to California. That's when I was in college at Alabama A&M. It was so intense, right? Like, and it conditioned me to think that walking is not working out. That's lazy. And it wasn't until I injured my knee that I had to reckon with, okay, my idea of what fitness is supposed to look like, it can't possibly be that anymore because I can't do that anymore. So now I have to reckon with the fact that I got to find other ways to be fit that don't live up to that standard and be okay with that. So I had to stop becoming judgmental because like I was internally judgmental of people that walked for exercise. I've seen people walking down the street like this. And I'd be like, you ain't doing nothing. Cause I was a high level athlete. And then life humbled me real quick. And I had to like deal with the fact that, okay, everything's not going to be high level, top tier, go hard or go home. Sometimes I just got to walk out the house and walk and be okay with that and know that nothing is wrong with me. And I'm still doing something good for myself. So that was a big one for me because like I just feel like fitness had to be done on 10,000. Pamela, What about you? What you smoking this week, if anything? What you drinking? And then what's your personal experience with perfectionism?
I knew you were gonna call on me. What I'm smoking is I've been smoking some seven chakras incense upstairs and downstairs. I'm drinking ice water, and my experience with perfectionism, when it's come in various forms, but when I think about what's impacted me the most, it's always been my femininity. So it's like when I was growing up, it's like your assertiveness isn't feminine. The way that you question isn't ladylike. The way that you push back, that's not girly. And what we need you to do is be girly and feminine and passive and quiet. And yeah, it just didn't align. So yeah, that's my experience with it. But that was something that I had to work through. That was something that I had to um understand was a part of my personality and not something that was meant to be critiqued, because that's
Hmm.
just who God made me to be. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I see quite a few people have dealt with that personally as well. Rich Auntie, what about you? What's your experience with perfectionism? And I know you already over there burning the high giant conqueror.
Rich Auntie reporting for duty, y'all. Like you said, I'm smoking the High John incense. I have a little God's Green, just straight cereal milk. I'm not
Cereal
drinking.
milk.
Yes, it's actually very wavy.
We
That's
have
very
some too.
specific.
We have some too. Amen lights.
It's called exotics. It's called premium. It's called get into it. But anyway,
You
I
foolish.
I am, and I love that about myself. I am drinking water as well because it's a weeknight, and I have to go be in front of somebody's children tomorrow, and they clock
Yes.
my tea every time I am questionable the next day. Um, Perfectionism is like a mega problem that I've had. I've spoken about my journey through indoctrination. And when you asked this question, I was trying to think like, where does it come from, or where was its entry point? And I think it's just being a Black eldest daughter in the Black church. Like,
Mhm.
I always had to be the example. And even to my birth, I was preemie. I was my mom's miracle baby. She fasted during her pregnancy when the doctors told her to abort me because I was going to be born with mental retardation. And so even I remember going back to the doctors like for your annual checkups, and like my mom my mom would be like, "Look what you tried to do. Here's her report card. She has straight A's." So I just remember this like externalized, internalized sense of performing.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's like for me, it's a strand. It's perfectionism, performance for approval, and that little flow determined my worth. And so my perfectionism was I'm gonna be the best at whatever I'm doing. So I'm gonna be the best hoe, I'm gonna be the best twerker, I'm gonna be the best praise and worship leader, I'm gonna be the best crocheter, you know. So it's really something I work through because it still comes up. And like Christian, what resonated when you were talking was about the judgment, because
Yes.
until I learned how to love myself, I did not focus on anything that I was doing. I was so disassociated and disembodied well into my 40s that when I started doing the work, my body was like, "Bitch, you down bad. We going to the hospital. You going back to the hospital. And now you're going back to the hospital because you stressed again." So it's really interesting sitting thinking about it now, where I feel like I've seen some growth. And knowing that I don't have that anxiety that every time I'm doing something, I'm stressed like, is it good enough? Are they going to reject me? Are they going to abandon me? Are they going to praise me? Like desperately waiting for crumbs of attention and affection because I needed to feed that part. So, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. And a lot of people resonate with it. Cause I was just thinking earlier today, like just being black in America, you gonna deal with perfectionism to a certain extent. we've all heard you got to work twice as hard just to get half as much as the white person. Like we've all heard that. Like, how can you not develop some level of perfectionism when you feel like you have to excel so high over everyone else just to get crumbs?
Yeah.
Like that follows you. That sits with you. Dr. C, what about you? If you don't mind sharing, like what has
Yeah,
been
it's
your experience?
man, I resonate with so much of what people said. I think, and I've seen it in the comments. Um, I'm the firstborn child. I'm also the firstborn grandchild on both sides of my family.
Oh
So
wow.
there's the whole birth order thing. And then for those who are like, when you show that early academic promise and you start making, you're making those A's all the time, and then that's what you're getting praised for, and you realize, oh, that's what I have to keep doing. Um,
Mm,
so it was that too. I definitely came up in a family that, talked about having to be twice as good, right, to get half as far and all of that. So I was internalizing all of that. I think what's interesting for me is that there was a point in my life, probably about late middle school, maybe early high school, probably around about ninth grade. I actually made an intentional decision to be perfect. And part of that was a response to trauma and abuse in my household. So
mm,
I was subjected to a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of belittlement, and so it's kind of interesting because first of all, I wanted to disprove the things that were being said about me,
mm-hmm,
not just to the people who were saying them, but also to me. I didn't want the messages that they were saying about me to soak into my psyche. And so I was like, okay, so they keep saying I'm a liar. They keep saying I'm this, and this other things. I'm just going to be perfect. I'm
mm,
going to do everything right. Right. And that was to me, it was my defense against kind of the onslaught that I was under. And so that's what I tried to do. I tried to be perfect in every way, behavior, grades, like every single thing. Don't make a mistake. I saw somebody else say didn't get a seat they won college and cried, right? Like that. Like everything I wanted to do exactly right.
wow.
So I was just bound up. I was I was
Wow.
bound up. But it was because I was like, I have to be perfect to prove that I'm not the things that they say I am.
Yo, so I've never heard that part of your story, and I appreciate you sharing it. And it makes me think about the how people say a lot of times therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, they go into that practice because they're resolving their own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and and I'm not saying that's why you did it, but that would make
Right.
sense because
Yes.
what you've been through. It's like I need to understand this at a deeper level.
Can I
Right.
add
Right.
myself to that?
Right. Yeah.
Can I add myself to that?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you don't have anybody to make it make sense to you, you will deep dive head first into whatever the education is, the psychology is, the science is. Here are I.
Yep.
Here are I.
Yep.
Because there was nobody around me to make anything make sense. So
Right.
it's like if I can go to school and study it, then maybe I can make it make sense for
Yep.
Yeah.
myself. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it was absolutely. I can make it make sense for myself, and then maybe I can help somebody else who's going through it.
Yeah.
Right. It was, but I'm absolutely, because I knew very early I was going to be a child psychologist.
Wow.
I knew that. Yeah. By the time I was in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to be.
Well, I didn't know what I was going to be at that time in my life because I didn't know what I was going to be when I met you.
So I have one more thing to add. I wanted to say the issue of perfection as a means or way to be seen and heard, right?
Mhm.
Because I grew up in the children are seen and not heard household, not abusive, but you get the look and you go sit down and shut the hell up, right? But
Mhm.
when you are doing the things that make your parents proud or make adults think you're a good person, you are allowed some leeway in terms of how you can present, how you can, you're a respectful little perfect Patty. It's like, oh, that's Autumn's over there, she can whatever. And so I think for me that is also a large part, not just with my family, but with other people wanting to be fully seen and wanting to be fully heard, and not thinking that I can get that from someone if I am not perfect.
Mm.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, this is real tonight. This is
yeah.
this is really real. Like, and I figured it would be that because I know this is something that a lot of us deal with. I work with a lot of black women, and every black woman I work with struggles with perfectionism a lot.
Mhm.
So the majority of our community is black women. So I can only imagine, that perfectionism is a thing. Like, I'll just say this before we get into this next segment. I'm grateful for my parents, and I want to shout out my dad, Willie James Smith, for the way he conditioned me to think about the effort that I give. I remember, you don't remember everything your parents told you, but I definitely remember the first time I brought like a report card or a test or something to my dad, and my grade was okay. And he said, "Did you do your best?" He said, "All I care is if you did your best. If you did the best you could do, I don't. If this is the best you can do, then great. I accept this. I'm proud of you. High five. Great. And if you didn't do your best, then just do your best next time." When I tell you that blessed me, like that prepared me for life. I can only do this work because I'm just gonna give y'all my best. And if it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. And I'm gonna be okay with that. But that message at a young age just really shaped who I would become, because I'm gonna just give you my best because my dad said that's all he cared about is that I give him my best. So shout out to my dad. Um, he was that guy. I love him. Um, let's move forward though to another old black man in this segment of
Reaching for the stars.
I love old black men, and y'all get on my nerves sometimes. Dang, evolve. Shit. I want you niggas to evolve. And that's also a cautionary tale of what I can become if I stop being curious. I think about that all the time. I don't want to stop being curious. I don't want to think at 41, I got it figured out. I ain't got nothing else to learn. Everything is going to be the way it's going to be from here on out. I want to stay curious. Because in this installment of Reaching for the Stars, Marvin Winans strikes again. And we just gonna talk about it a little bit before we get deeper into the conversation about perfectionism. And actually, there's a perfectionism angle even in this. So I'm gonna tell you how viral moments come across for me. It starts in my DMs, like somebody will send me something. Did you see this? And I may or may not watch it depending on how many times I get it. And then like I watch it and I'll be like, I hope this don't go viral. Because I don't want to talk about this. But I understand what my platform is. So like people keep sending it to me, then it goes viral. It's like, okay, well, it hasn't shown up in the ecosystem yet, then boom, ecosystem. It's like, all right, so I guess we're gonna talk about this. So Marvin Winans is in some heat right now for a situation that happened at his church on a giving day, and how he um handled a lady who gave her offering. I'm going to give the context of the video that went viral before we even get into the conversation, because I think that's important. But here it is, Marvin Winans Giving Day at Perfecting Faith Church? Yeah, Perfecting Church on their big giving day. So it's going to start with him giving instructions for how this is supposed to flow. And then it's going to move to the viral moment where he handled this lady. You just, here it is.
We're going to do this a couple of ways. Those that have the 1,000 plus 1, that means you're coming with your 1,000 that you're giving, plus you've asked someone else to give. Now, you don't have to stop at 1,000, and we're going to deal. So in other words, if you say, Pastor Winans, I'm coming with my 1,000 plus another 3,000, then you'll say that. You understand? And if you didn't get the plus 1, but you maybe came with $250, you're going to come say that this is my 1,000 plus 250. You with me? And we're going to go all the way down. So I need you, in order for this to work, I need you to come when you're called with the offering that you're bringing.
I, Roberta McCoy, given faith and stand in unity with the vision of Perfecting Church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
Oh, that was so painful. Oh, that was so painful. So where do we begin? So I want to say, like, when I first saw this video, and then I want to see what the ladies got to say, and we'll come back and we'll push forward. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, did this dude just scoff at her $1,200 in this economy? And I was so upset. And then I found out that's not necessarily he was doing. Then I was like, but still, why would he publicly shame her? And that's where I land. It's like, I realize now he wasn't scoffing at her $1,200 when I understand the context, but bro, there's a better way to handle that. You didn't even say thank you. It's like, you just immediately, this ain't what I asked you to do. Bro, sir, pastor, bishop, whatever, like, please just come on, man. Have some grace. We have to get out of this mode of publicly shaming in the church. It's too normalized, which is why so many people are defending it, because shaming people publicly is normal. Like, we've had a bunch of mess internally at TFC because people were mad that I wouldn't publicly shame people here because they come from spaces where you get publicly shamed and that's what they're used to. And I'm like, no, that's not what we do here. Because that's where people come from. And this is a perfect example. Whether he was scoffing at her money or not, that was shameful. And there's a better way to handle that. He could have said thank you for her money. And then after she moved to the side, he could have said, now I want to remind everybody what the instructions were. He could have easily done that and got the point across, but it led to this. What y'all think?
As a professor and somebody who tries to be a self-reflective professor, I've generally learned that if people don't understand my instructions, it's because I'm not giving good instructions.
My Lord.
Right? So
my Lord.
If you got to say y'all not understanding, then you actually need to look back at yourself and say, what did I say? I don't understand. I've watched this twice now. I did the same thing you did, Christian. Like the first time I was like, who is he? And then I heard the context and then I was like, this still ain't making sense. What's 1,000 plus 1? And then you said if you have 1,000 and you have 250, you can come. And so she said, well, I got 1,000, I got 235, but now that's not good. Your instructions are bad.
Yeah.
So you need to take, if you're going to shame somebody, you need to shame yourself for not giving good instructions.
Hey, atu uba itelebekiska to who? Me.
Listen, and when I first saw it and didn't see it without the context, and I just thought, man, this dude just scoffed at $1,200 in this economy. My initial reaction was like,
who the fuck is you, nigga?
No, it's like this.
God told me to take. God ain't tell your bitch ass thing because he got my number directly, whole ass nigga.
So look.
I love that video so much.
I'm sick.
I love that video so much. Rich Auntie, what you think?
I was gonna say, look, you giving this man all the honorifics, and all I could think of was nigga. I don't care about the context. It don't change nothing. Why are we doing money lines in 2025?
Yeah,
I can't get with it. It's I hate money lines. I think it's ridiculous. It's a public shaming ritual. And we got to divorce that. It's too much. But also, $1,200. Listen, baby, that's somebody rent. That's groceries. That's car notes. That's insurance. Baby, the way I would have knocked every fucking thing off of that stage and snatched my money, honey. This is why I can't go to churches anymore, because I'm going to flip tables, literally. Like, beyond the money line, beyond the miscommunication of terrible ass directions, this lady brought to over a G. Like, baby, this Benz. And that's what you had to say. You should have shut your ass up, sir. I'm sorry. I don't have there's no honor in that. And that's someone in the comments put the lady went on the news and then defended the pastor. And this is when I get upset, because Black women, all of your mind, body, time, energy, money go to the church. You are made a fool, and then you defend the foolishness. Please get free. That is unacceptable. That man took money out of somebody's household, and he wasn't even grateful. That is sad. That is so sad.
And you could see it in her face, right? The way she accepted it when he said it, like that was okay.
Yeah. Because it's normalized.
Right.
So gracious.
So, like, so for, like, people are talking about her statement on the news, and some people are saying in the comments, like, I feel like it was scripted. I actually don't think it was scripted. I think she really felt that. So I think sometimes when people come into this space, people forget how much church folk love their pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I think people confuse scripted with indoctrination.
That part
because
too.
when you've been indoctrinated, there is a script. So it's like, it's not that somebody presented you with something, for you to read off of or to memorize. Baby, you've been indoctrinated. You don't need a script. You don't need a script. Hello? No, you don't need a script.
Yeah, you don't need a script. I don't think that was scripted. I think she really felt that, because again, I think we got to remember how normalized public shaming is.
Yes.
So she's not going to internalize that as he did me dirty. That's just how it goes. And then because of the way we're conditioned, like, well, I messed up. And there's the perfectionism, right? Like, if I mess up, this is what I got coming, because I'm not allowed to mess up.
Which makes you susceptible to abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And can I just say that I've listened to this quite a few times, but I think this is the first time that I listened to him giving the instructions about how to bring your offering. And what I heard was, if you got such and such amount of money, make the declaration. If you got such and such amount of money, make the declaration. I didn't hear get in this line if you got $2,000. Get in this line if you got $1,000. Get in this line if you got $500. What I heard him say, and please correct me, was when you come and present your offering, you make your declaration of how much it is.
Yep.
So there were no designated lines. It was like, make your declaration of, I give such and such amount.
And that could very well be it. I don't know what was cut from that because I didn't go and watch the like live stream to see what the unedited version is. But either way, what you're saying just goes to how convoluted the instructions were, because everybody's walking away with different interpretations. And I also want to acknowledge what a number of people have pointed out about the impact that has on that young boy that was with her.
Oh my God. Yes.
You know,
Oh my
and
God.
the shame that comes along with seeing your caretaker or somebody you look up to being shamed in front of a bunch of people, and the impact that can have. So
Because you indirectly get shamed. The shame falls on you almost like a spotlight. Whatever residue from the spotlight, it falls on you. And I say that from experience. When there were times that my parental figures got silenced and brought before the church, I had peers to answer to. I had peers to interact with. So when my peers were giggling, gossiping, whatever they were doing about my parents, that fell on me indirectly, even though I wasn't the one that was going before the church. I'm just 12, 13.
yeah,
But that trickles down on me. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I also want to say this, because that boy shouldn't have been subjected to that. Also, that boy shouldn't have been subjected to that video being cut up like that and shared on the internet to go viral. So I think we need to hold the content creator responsible as well, because that is an example of rage bait. That video was rage bait. It was cut up intentionally to make you think he was just scoffing at her $1,200, right? So the video was taken out of context. Now, when you add the context, that didn't not make it bad. It didn't make it like good. You know what I'm saying? But it was cut up in a way to make it look like he was looking down on her $1,200 when really he was saying you in the wrong line. And I don't do money lines either. I ain't defending money lines. That's their church. If you don't want to do money lines, don't go to a church that does money lines. All right. But I think there does need to be some accountability for the content creator that would cut this up to generate this kind of rage, because it would have been a different conversation if we knew when we saw the original video that she was in the wrong line. But because it was cut up to make us think he was scoffing at $1,200 in this economy, it drove the rage through the roof. And it led to the level of virality that this moment is having. So I want to make sure when I speak to us to remind us, take time to take all the information in. Because when I saw that video, just like last week, when I saw the video with Jonathan Majors and NLE Chopper, and when I first saw the video, I was like, Jonathan Majors tripping. And then when I saw the context, it's like, he kind of tripping, but I see what he's saying, because I was irritated too. Right here, it was like, initially I was thinking, how dare you scoff at this $1,200? And I was like, oh, he was irritated because she was in the wrong line. He still mishandled her. It still is unnecessary. But that video was cut up to make me think even worse of him.
Yeah.
And I also acknowledge Marvin Winans done put himself in this situation because he's been doing a lot of silly shit. Right. So it's nuanced.
Right. But also the average person is not necessarily going to do their due diligence to graduate beyond the rage bait, which is a thing. And then even if you were talking like the whole reality that nuance needs to remain the center of every conversation. Because I was just thinking, like, I loved money lines when I was a child, because in that tradition, everybody got to go take their little, they played a bomb ass offering song. You get to dance and get your little two-step on down the aisle. It was fun. But in my adult settings, it was Kojic, money lines, lock the doors. So I think that there's so many things that can be applied to this conversation, because at the end of the day, one of the things I love about TFC is that giving is not an obligation. There's transparency. We're going to collect the money however we collect it, and we're going to keep having fun. And I think there's a way that offering and giving and all of that can be beautiful. And that's when there's no harm and no manipulation.
I totally agree. And we're going to keep doing it the way we're doing it, because we're not trying to put anybody in that type of position, particularly in this economy. Like, I wouldn't even ask for that kind of money in this economy. Like, that's crazy. Like I said, there's plenty of reasons to be angry about this video. I just feel like the way it was framed, it was intended to drive the rage through the roof. So I want all of us to focus on being more emotionally regulated when we do come across rage bait, to take time. And even with that, on that note, this was so funny to me. I shared on Threads, 2025 has been a rough year for the gospel Marvins, because, earlier this year was Marvin Sapp with the Close the Doors, and then a Sinners movie fandom said the only Marvin I stand is gay, LOL. And then somebody else said, because I'm not giving to any offering raised by somebody named Marvin at this point.
I mean,
The Saints ain't got no sense, man.
I second that notion.
Sorry, Marvins.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, we love y'all, but for real, you have been
reaching for the stars.
Yeah. And that, of course, that was just a trending topic because it's happening right now in real time. But again, I think there's some perfectionism undertones there, because it makes you feel like you can't mess up. I know as a pastor, I've dealt with a lot of people who come out of spaces like that, and when they make the slightest mistake here, they think I'm gonna jump down on them. And I was like, no, it's cool. I mean, stuff happens. We'll live. We'll keep going. And they'll be like, huh? Ain't you supposed to be mad, nigga? Like, I mean, we'll live. What you gonna say, family?
I want you to talk about your personal struggles with perfectionism as being a pastor, and not having wiggle room to make a mistake, not having wiggle room to be wrong, not having wiggle room to misjudge. I want you to talk about that.
Yeah,
I need you to talk about that for yourself, because your people need to hear how perfectionism affects you as a pastor, because the shit that we've been through for the past 2 or 3 months is based on the perfection. I need you to talk about, I really want you to talk about that.
Yeah, I've been talking about it in this space of ministry for a long time, about how people are constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop with me. So like, I walked away from a bunch of stability within the system to try to do right by people, because I realized the way I want to do right by people, the church ain't gonna let me do it, because I'm not trying to practice some of the harmful theologies that I was raised in. And I didn't know of any spaces that were gonna let me do that. So all the spaces I was in, they rejected me when I started doing it. So I really put all of my energy into this, deconstructing harmful theology, building beloved community around that, and building a community where it's built on, the greatest commandment, where your love for God is expressed through how you love your neighbor. And that's a reflection of how you love yourself. So self-love is at the core of the gospel. So we need to spend time working on loving ourselves. And that's just what I've committed myself to. And being in this space, because of my identity as a cisgender heterosexual Black man, people are constantly waiting for me to mess up. Every single day, I'm reminded of how people are waiting for me to slip. And that's a lot of pressure, because I know that people require perfection from me for me to be credible. That's a lot of pressure. to the extent that the stuff that I've been through this year with the lies that have been told about me, that was stuff that didn't even have nothing to do with me. You know, I got caught up in stuff that had nothing to do with me. And I was like, damn, what if I really did do something? What if my humanity really did show up? How would I have been handled? So yeah, that's a real thing that I'm working through even now. Because it's so fresh. And I try to navigate that the best way I can, because there's really no way around it, because I'm working with a demographic or a psychographic of people who have been harmed by the church in many instances, and the person that caused the harm identified like me. So I know that causes people challenges, and I leave space for that and grace for that, and I empathize with that. And there's a other side to that where I get the brunt end of all of that emotional dysregulation. And that's tough. And the reason Pamela want me to bring it up, because I'll be talking to her about it. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. But you know, that's why my dad told me, don't choose pastor and just let it choose you. Because if you just get into it because, oh, it looks so glamorous and I think I would have fun. No, you got to be called to this. The same way I feel like psychologists and therapists got to be called to what they do. Because listen, I tried to sit with somebody and talk through their problems. And when that hour was over, I walked out and said, Pamela, I don't know how you do this. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, it's not for me. But let's get deeper into this conversation. Dr. C, you kind of really inspired this because of a post that you made on social media, and I would love to hear you expound on this post, because it was the kind of the inspiration for this conversation. You said one way my perfectionism shows up is by training my focus on what I have not done. If I miss one day of meditation or exercise, I feel like I've let myself down. My new practice is to notice and celebrate my wins, no matter how meager they seem. I will practice this until it becomes a habit. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So, you know, I journal a lot. I journal usually every morning. Most mornings I try to journal. And then in the evening I have this little planner that I just kind of go back and assess my day. And often in the evening I'll do things like I'll say I didn't get much done today. Right. It's like it's a recurring theme in my evaluation of my day. It's always I didn't get much done today. I didn't do any work today. I did it yesterday. I wrote, I didn't get, and then I had to go back and scratch it out, right? And so because then I started thinking, wait, every once in a while I stop myself because I'll be beating myself up about I haven't gotten any work done this week because I'm a to-do list person.
Me too.
Perfectionists often are, right? I live by my to-do list. I live by my planner. I'm one of those that uses one of those planners that you get customized and it's got all the like I love my planner. And so I have my to-do list, and so I wake up in the morning and I plan my day, and these are the things I'm going to get done today. And then at the end of the day and the end of the week, I'm evaluating how much of this did I get done. And so I'll be beating myself up. And so it happened, and that was what happened was that day. And then I stopped myself and was like, what did I do this week? And I had to pull out my schedule, right? And I started looking through and looking at how much I had done. And I was like, oh shit, that was a lot.
A lot.
Like I did a lot. I didn't give myself credit for any of it because I was looking at, I'm supposed to swim twice a week. I only swam once this week. Right. And so I'm beating myself up because I didn't get that one thing done. But everything else, but I did all these other things, right? And so I just really started thinking about that and how much I judge myself. This happens even with my self-care. How much I judge myself based on what I don't do and I evaluate my day based on what I didn't get done as opposed to what I did do. And the ways in which I often will think I didn't do much today, when that's never true. I don't have days when I don't do much. That just is not how I'm wired.
Me and
It
you both.
maybe wasn't the stuff that I wanted to get done that day, but there is not a day when I don't do much.
Listen, that is real. That is real. Yeah, like I'm a to-do list person too. And I have to put everything on my to-do list so that I can go back and remind myself of what all I got done. That's why it's important to me, because it's like, okay, because I can sit here and feel like I haven't done anything, because I'll go to social media real quick, and then there's this tug of war where it's like social media is part work, but then I connect with people there too, and I'm entertained there. And it's like, so am I wasting time? Am I consuming, or am I creating? And did I get anything done? So like my to-do list is like, I made this phone call, I responded to this email. And when I look at it, it's like, dang, bro, you actually did a lot of stuff today.
Yep. If I stop and think about it, I did a lot. But
yes.
I set this bar for myself so high. Like I can never reach that bar. If I make it like it has to be all of these things executed perfectly, I'll never reach that. And
Yes.
and I talk so much about self-compassion, and I realize perfectionism is the enemy of self-compassion, right? You can't be compassionate to yourself if you are always judging yourself and always finding yourself coming up short. Like you're not practicing self-compassion and self-love if you're doing that. And so I realized in sort of beating myself up about what I hadn't done, and just missing everything. Like sometimes when I really think about it, I'm like, I am a fucking marvel.
Come on.
I am a walking miracle.
My God.
And we'll just miss that point because I'll be thinking about all the things I didn't manage to get done, all the goals that I set for myself that I didn't do, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing, right? Yeah.
Listen, when you said I am a fucking marvel, this welled up in my spirit.
Maybe because I was over here going in singing in full tongues. Hallelujah.
For real. So like, I want to hear from everybody, because we're talking with Dr. C, psychologist, theologian, therapy, theology, kind of in one. So I want to look at, like, what is the social conditioning that we experience that like kind of pushes us towards perfectionism? Because I talked a little bit earlier about just being Black, the way we are conditioned socially as Black people. I think about Black people dealing with the police and this expectation of perfection when we encounter the police, and how even when we're perfect, it's still not enough, because they'll tell us, oh, well, they should have complied. If the Black person does anything that could even be perceived as resisting, that is excuse enough to kill them. But then even when the person has perfect behavior, Philando Castile.
Yep.
Even when the person has perfect behavior, Breonna Taylor. When the person has perfect behavior, Tamir Rice, they still get murdered. And it's like, so we can't win because we complied and it still happens to us and no one cares. So like, that puts us in this position of like, I don't want to mess up at all, which is why Black parents gotta have a talk with their kids about if they go out and drive. So like, what Dr. C, what's the social conditioning that we have to work through?
Yeah. And and the system is so rigged, right? So I struggle with this with my own son, right? 17 years old. He
That's
has
so wild.
a lot of friends who are white, and he'll go out and they'll go out and do things, and I have to give him the talk about there are certain things your friends might do and might experiment with and might explore. You do not have the luxury to do that.
Tell him.
You cannot do what your friends will do, and you're gonna have to make some choices about that, right? And there are times where he'll be like, he comes home from things, he's like, yeah, because they were doing this, like, and I didn't want to be part. And I'm like, he knows, and I'm like, it's sad that I have to tell him that, and so we have to weigh that against him. So this perfectionism, this is not something we're making up in our heads, especially if you're a Black person in a professional environment. You're held to an impossible standard, right? Like, I don't know any Black people in professional environments that, like, I won't even talk about the mediocrity of a lot of the white people I've worked with over the years. Listen, okay? I won't talk about the colleagues that when they talked about what they did for a dissertation, I'd be like, they gave you a whole doctorate off of that?
Come on. Come on, somebody.
They let you get by with that?
They let you get by with that?
Yeah.
Right? And there's so there's so much that we have to do. Often if we make it into a professional space, I'll put it this way. I tell a lot of young Black faculty, I said, if you ever wonder why it seems like you're better than your white colleagues, it's because you are. Because for you to get to this point, you had to jump hurdles, go through hoops none of them had to go through. You had to develop some skills and abilities none of them had to develop to get to this point. So you actually are better than them.
Look,
She's a truth teller. She's a truth teller.
Pamela and I are sitting over here just gagged and fangirling.
Sick to my stomach. You hear me?
Girl, I'm like, oh my God. What came up for me in terms of the social construction of perfectionism is like this idea of Black excellence, right? And I know that it was rooted in, I do have conversations with people, including my students. I be feeling like an old auntie at this point because I'd be like, baby, you in Atlanta, don't do that. Don't talk to the cops like that. But it was rooted in safety. And so for me, I think that some of my current practices to like reject perfectionism when it comes up, I'm ridiculous about being late to stuff. I reclaim my time and everything. My friends know, like, you better lie to me, baby, because I'm a mosey. I be at work. I just told somebody on your best day, I'm better than you. And I'm sorry. Like, leave me alone, because they were like, this teacher had the audacity to tell me, Miss Clay, you weren't on your post this morning and the kids got into a fight. And I was like, why the kids got in a fight when y'all was standing there? They were like, it's just something about your presence. And I wanted to be like, I said, that's because I'm like, but we talk shit. But the point of that is the social construction of perfectionism. I see it, it's not just in, there's some gender-based like patriarchy labeling that we should probably get into. But it's just in our systems, because like when I think of myself as an educator, the kids who I work with are the kids who question authority, who critically think, and they're intentionally pushed out of our system into, you know, what they call the school to prison pipeline. So this idea of like a carceral system that's like state sanctioned violence against people based on so-called socially constructed crimes, it all goes back to who's willing to buck against the system and not be perfect versus who's just gonna be a sheep and go along for whatever gratification or whatever they get from it.
Yo, you deserve something for on your best day, I'm still better than you. And then They got me in the comments earlier. They said that psychographic is a dollar jar word. So demographics deal with people's, identity as far as race, gender, sex, uh, class, those things. Psychographics identify people based on attitudes and outlooks. So when we started TFC, I didn't think so much about demographics. It was like, I'm black. So black people going to be drawn to me because I'm black. And I am openly black. And we just lost Dr. C. I hope she can come back. So it was just like, let's focus on the unchurched, the underchurched, and the overchurched. So we dealt really with psychographics, attitudes, outlooks, because that's why when a lot of you find this space, you say, oh my God, y'all make me feel like I'm not crazy, because we looked for people who had the same attitude and outlook. Because it was so foreign in a lot of spaces, we wanted to bring people together to say, hey, you're not by yourself. There are other people out here who have a similar outlook, and we're in community together. So that's what psychographics are. Well, Pamela, we haven't heard from you yet about the social conditioning that leads us to perfectionism.
Okay, so my thought was about how perfectionism applies depending on your context.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was at church, knowing Bible verses, showing up for everything, being involved, that was perfection as far as my faith was concerned. When I was at home in my neighborhood in the projects, are you up to date on all the pop culture? Can you fight? You
Can you
know,
fight?
are,
Yeah.
are like for real, are you able to defend your block? That was perfectionism in my house because my dad only went to the 8th grade and my mom only made it to nursing school. Perfectionism was academics. So it's just like, it's one of those things where you have to consider perfectionism is an overall term, but depending on your context, your perfectionism looks different.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm a kid who grew up in, from one context to the next, the what I had to prove to the people in my context to say that I had everything down pat, it was completely different from my house to my neighborhood to my church to my
Mm-hmm.
school. So it was like there's perfectionism, but your perfectionism looks different based on where you are.
Mm-hmm. So we get that in different spaces, including church. And I would love to get into the theological conditioning as we move towards the end of this conversation, because that plays a major part. I don't think so. I don't think we realize how much our theology plays into how we are wired, which is why we have these conversations when we talk about the theology of a thing that we never considered a theological issue. Like perfectionism is very much a theological issue. And what comes to mind for me when it comes to the theology is just, you could just take a straight Bible verse where in church it was quoted that Jesus said, be perfect as I am perfect. Like, we're told literally, be perfect. And more times than not, you probably didn't get any more context than that. You just got be perfect. Nigga. That's your job. Be perfect. And what's unfortunate about that is then in the original language of the text, that's not what that word really means. The word doesn't mean perfect. The word means whole. Jesus was never calling you to perfection. He was calling you to wholeness. Be whole. And when it comes to being whole, then you have to determine what that looks like for you. You determine what wholeness looks like for you. Nobody outside of you can determine what that is, because wholeness is something that you embody. It's something that you feel. You feel settled. You feel grounded. You feel whole. No one outside of you can determine that. But when it's framed as perfection, then you're leaning on somebody else to tell you how it works.
Can I tell you how much of a shift that is to go from perfection to wholeness?
Man.
Because we're told we're supposed to be Christ-like. We're told we're supposed to be striving for perfection, being like Jesus. So to go from you're supposed to be perfect to you're supposed to be whole, I'm gonna tell you what the question is. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, all I know is I'm supposed to be perfect. So I don't even know what wholeness means. I don't even know what it means.
And one way I would explain that is a quote by Howard Thurman, one of my favorite quotes. Howard Thurman said, "Don't ask yourself, what does the world need? Ask yourself, what makes me come alive? Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." So at some point, like, you still have to take responsibility for feeling within yourself, when do I feel the most alive? So again, it goes back to taking that personal accountability and responsibility for what makes you whole, what makes you come alive. And our theology plays such a significant role in that. And Dr. C, if you can expound on that a little bit more, just about like how our theology plays into this.
Yeah. I mean, I think what came to mind when you asked that question was baptism, particularly in the Baptist church tradition, believers' baptism, right? Where I remember getting baptized. I was 14 when I got baptized, and I was like, came up out the water, and I was like, I would be a whole different person now. And I kept waiting for that feeling to come over me that I was going to be completely different. I wasn't going to want to do anything wrong anymore. I was going to be perfect, right? I was already trying to be, now I was really going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, like, I kind of felt the same. Like, I went home, everything was the same at home.
Yeah.
But I also realized I was supposed to act different because people expected to see a difference, right? And there's so much that we do in the church that in therapy, we call it impression management. So I'll use another academic word. So we call it impression management. You are trying to manage the image that people have of you. And the church teaches us to do that. And this is wound, this is embedded in our theologies, right? Like if you come out of a Reformed tradition and you sort of believe in you're one of the frozen chosen, where you believe in predestination and God has already chosen the people who are going to be saved, and that you have to sort of prove that you're one of those people who's going to be saved by presenting the image of the perfect saint, right? Then that's exactly what you're going to do. If we have this idea of this conversion experience, you're supposed to have this deep conversion where this is who you were before you converted, and then afterwards you were a whole different person, right? Again, we have so much that teaches people to be inauthentic, right? And it's being inauthentic in pursuit of this image of perfection, and that you can't come in any other way, right? You can't come, you have to dress a certain way in church. You have to put forth the image and the facade, everything, right? Like the whole Marvin Winans things, like that was bound up in this rigidity.
Yes.
Because he wanted things to be a certain way. And the sister broke his expectation.
Yeah.
Right? He couldn't even wrap his head around the gift he received because he had this rigid thinking about how it was supposed to be presented, what was supposed to be presented.
Yeah.
Right. And then she couldn't receive that either. It says she's like, oh man, I fell short. I got to come up with the other $800. Right. So I'll meet the mark. Right. There are all these ways that the church conditions us that we have to keep hitting this bar. And we just saw it in the video. Any falling short of the bar is you failed.
But the thing about it is the bar or mark is never attainable, right?
Never.
So much came up. It's crazy because so much came up that resonated when you were talking, Dr. C, because I was baptized at 9. And when you said you were waiting for that moment for things to change, I feel like in my childish mind, I felt like I experienced a change, but what I experienced was praise from adults who were propping me up because at 9, I was making these indoctrinated decisions and I became like the perfect patty for like my youth group. So there were constantly adults comparing me. And there was also on the other side of that, the puffy, and not like pride bad, but the pride that your parents feel when you're the good kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up in the Baptist tradition. And when you were saying that Bible verse, I had to think to myself because I was like, so much of what perfection for me has been related to the 2 Bible verses. One was your strength is made perfect in weakness, if that's even in there. Some of these things I don't be remembering. And then the other one is like something about your faith and your works, and then your works perfect your faith. So I became very much a busy girl. Like in my church days, I accounted for every second of my time because I did not want to be idle and be busy with the devil's work. I had a calendar. It was from when I woke up to pray at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It accounted for every second of my day down to when I went to sleep. And so that has been a struggle for me because when you were talking about your planner, and I do that, I have a planner, I be using Pomodoro timers, I have strategies to organize myself, but at the same time, sometimes I have to reject that because it's a way for me to go back to some degree of certainty for this mark that I'm never going to meet, because I feel like, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna get my blessing. When I was straight presenting, if I do this, I'm gonna be seen by my husband working while it's day. Child, I have to reject.
You so churchy.
But listen, these were the things that I was thinking while I was doing all of these performative things to appear perfect. And in the meantime, as y'all know, I'm in the closet, I'm in the club, I'm doing all this stuff, and everybody's like, "Oh, girl, when you was leading worship, the glory came in," and I was like, ugh. But then when I got sat down, it was like you were bleeding on the people. But you said the glory came in and there was a miracle. So all of that perfectionism is tied up in those things sometimes with the quote unquote infallibility of the Bible and getting these proof texted sermons our whole life. And then when you read the Bible, you're like, is that what it means? Because I love when y'all bring up stuff. Now I'm like, is that what those verses meant? Was the word perfect? Was that what it was supposed to be in that context?
Yeah.
So that changes. Like Pamela said, oh my God, there's things shooting out of my head. Like that changes everything. And I love that.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And so as we go to a close, I want to hear what Pamela thinks about the theological piece, and then Dr. C, if you can just kind of close this out with telling us, how do we address this? Where are some places we can start? But Pamela, what do you think about the theology?
I feel like the theology of perfectionism is very harmful, because I was just sitting here and I was listening to Autumn and I was thinking, based on what everybody has said, it feels like the theology of perfectionism is one of those things that just keeps you in a loop.
Oh, God.
It keeps you in a loop of, did I do this good enough? Did I do this good enough? Was this good enough? Who's going to accept this? What are they going to say about me? What does this mean? What does this mean about me? I feel like the theology of perfectionism is a never ending loop. And trying when people pit your humanity against being Christ-like, and being Christ-like is being perfect, you're already at a deficit. You're already behind because you can't be perfect.
Yeah.
But depending on what your perfection is tied to, if your perfection is tied to your afterlife, then you're going to be in constant pursuit of perfection.
And when somebody says anything that contradicts your doctrine, you're going to fight like hell to maintain that because it's tied to your afterlife, which is why we spend so much time deconstructing the idea of hell and the fear mongering that so many of us have been exposed to in church, because that theology leads us to perfectionism. If you feel like if you don't keep your lamp trimmed and burning, and you not ready when he comes back, you're going to spend eternity in a torture chamber.
Listen here.
How could
Weeping
you
and moaning.
gnashing of teeth?
Gnashing of teeth. Gnashing of teeth. Yes, Lord.
Yeah, it's a fear tactic. It's a fear tactic. And I'm not saying the Bible doesn't talk about hell. I'm talking about the way that these beliefs and thoughts over time have been framed to keep you in fear.
Yeah.
And that's how Christians generally respond to me on my platforms. Like, oh, you better stop playing with God. That don't strike fear in me the way it strikes fear in you. I'm not afraid of God the way you are. I have a good relationship with God. We good.
Listen,
you have a fear-based relationship with
Lord.
God.
I believe that perfectionism is about formulas. And when I think about formulas, I think about science and math. Those are the places that formulas apply. When it comes to humanity, because we are all individuals, formulas do not apply. We all have our individual experiences, and perfectionism looks different depending on your context.
Yeah. Yes. Dr. C, what can we do? You know, we all deal with this to some extent. How can we work through this?
Yeah, I think first I was thinking when you were talking about that scripture that it doesn't mean perfect. It means whole or complete. And I think holding that in mind. And I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, who does it serve when we think it's about perfection? Whose interest does that serve? Right? I'm oppositional, so it always helps me to think that I'm resisting something. So if I'm resisting the powers and principalities by being imperfect, then let me be imperfect, right?
Come here.
And so thinking about, why did they choose that word, right? Because you can't really get people to obey if you prioritize wholeness and completeness the way that you can if you prioritize perfection. Perfection, they're going to serve you. Like it's what you were saying, Pamela. It's a loop. You never get off that treadmill. You're constantly going. I'll end with some advice that I give to my students. I don't think I was given this advice when you were at school, Christian, but I do now on the regular.
I'm gonna take it down.
First of all, let's say everything does not deserve your 100%. Everything does not deserve your 100%.
Pause.
Time out. Time out.
Pause.
Time out.
Now, I know you have more to say, but pause.
Time out.
Glory, glory, glory.
And also,
Oh my God. I'm about to throw up.
I'm sliding down the wall. Okay?
My therapist told me that. I feel very
Jesus
triggered.
Christ.
Oh, Lord.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
No. Holy
Time
Ghost.
out. Time out.
Oh, that's so
What
good.
is my
Time
sheet?
out.
Y'all better go to this lecture. Y'all better look. I'm gonna put the
Jesus
QR code on the
Christ.
screen. Y'all better go to this lecture. Everything
Woo!
does not deserve your 100%.
No!
Oh my God.
Time out.
You definitely didn't tell me that. I want my money back.
I had to grow into that.
That's so good. That's so good.
But yeah, it really doesn't. And it doesn't even necessarily deserve your 90, your 80, your 70, your 60. And honestly, if you're an overachiever, there are a lot of things that you could do at 50% and you still be better than everybody else.
Ooh.
Right? You could literally half-ass it and you would still be better than most of the people around you.
And can I say that I feel like the theology of perfectionism makes us feel like we have to do more when we really don't.
We
My
don't.
God.
We don't.
We don't.
Not
And
another
we are
damn
My
thing.
God.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
are often
God.
doing way too much, right? We are doing way too much. We are
Jesus
over
Christ.
functioning. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Who said mighty king of Zion? Michi. Mighty
my
king
God.
of Zion.
Wait, this is appropriate, but also funny, not funny. My nickname at work is TTM, which is for Team Too Much.
Woo, Lord.
And I told them I've been delivered from that because that was before I got sick. And they'd be like, you didn't even ask no questions. We are so proud of you. I'd be like, can we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because the thing is, they know, right? The systems we're embedded in, they know they can count on us. They know we're going to step up and do the work when other people won't do the work. Right? They know it. So, I mean, this is like classic family systems. If somebody is over functioning, somebody is under functioning. And our perfectionism allows a lot of people to underfunction.
Damn.
We've reached the dragging and the
Listen, baby.
baby.
When I tell you I knew I was gonna get dragged to the white meat, I just didn't know it was gonna be at the end. Good grief. Good grief.
How I'm supposed to go to sleep after this word?
You see, I keep touching my edges to check if they there, nigga, because oh my God.
Baby. Hello.
Holy Ghost. Okay.
I'm just trying to check for my toes because they've been stepped on so much.
My God. Mighty God from Zion or whatever Michi said. Hallelujah. I really feel like I need a sheet and I need to lay on this floor. Like, let me be quiet.
Oh. What?
All right, one more piece of advice.
Yeah.
The other thing, when you feel yourself being overwhelmed, I say this in an academic sense with my students, but it really can be in any part of life. When you are in a place, in a season where you have too much going on, pick something and aim for a C. Aim to fail in some way. Right? Because for perfectionists, a C is failure. So
Right. Aim for a C. What do you mean? That is beneath me.
My whole brain got scrambled.
Right, we all
aim
froze.
for a C. Right. But here's the thing: you choose the thing.
Yes.
Because if you don't choose it, your body will choose it for you.
My God. Oh my God.
So it's better for you to choose it and say, that's the thing where I'm going to intentionally underperform. And if anybody here has a new job, I heard somebody say they're moving, don't go in there and show them all you can do. You better hold back on some stuff at the beginning. Because if you set your bar high, they will never let you lower it.
My
God. Oh my God.
Oh
my God. Oh.
Alarm.
Oh, please.
Alarm.
The Lord been good to me. He been mighty Molly, 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 Molly.
Ho! Adalobo kosha. The kosha ta. To be atuda the basika to ho.
Bro, if y'all haven't signed up for the lecture yet, I don't know what y'all doing.
Listen here.
Glory.
I told you I borrowed money for the government to go to this lady's class.
And then he came home and told me about it. And I felt like I was in this lady's class.